Hello, this is Ryan with Aaron Overhead Doors. This is show 3 of our podcast, and today we're going to be covering where to buy a garage door opener. There's a few other topics we're going to hit on with this. I think it's very important to understand a few things. The 4 things we're going to hit on today are first is understanding the brands that are available. 2, know what types of garage door openers are available to you. And who's going to install them? Are you going to install them as a homeowner, or do you want a professional to do it? And then 3, know where to get them. We're going to cover all 4 of those things today. Actually 4. I think I said 3. So first, understand the brands, know the types of garage door openers, who's going to install them, and know where to get them. And all these things are very important. So first of all, understanding brands. So you have, I'm going to tackle probably the most popular brands first, the ones that you may be familiar with. Chamberlain. I'm going to talk about Chamberlain and LiftMaster together just because they're the same company and they rebrand LiftMaster motors into Chamberlains for consumers. That's their consumer brand. And then LiftMaster is their professional brand. And so we, as a garage door dealer, and most other garage door dealers in the area, do carry the LiftMaster brand on their trucks. And there's lots of different models, both with Chamberlain and LiftMaster. You have, so that's the scoop on them. You also have Craftsman, who I believe also, for majority of the years, were LiftMaster Chamberlain as well, just rebranded for Sears. Another popular brand that a lot of people have is Genie. Genie's been around a long time, and a lot of people in this area, in the Metro Atlanta area, have the Genie screw drives, and so they're most known for being really loud, but they last a long time and they were inexpensive. Sorry about that. So we've got the brands. Ryobi just came out with a garage door opener that's become pretty popular with consumers. I haven't heard a lot of positive things about it from a dealer standpoint. So we've installed one. We probably wouldn't do it again. It's not that it's a little bit unorthodox that they don't follow a lot of the same rules that a lot of the professional openers do. And it took us a little bit longer. That may have just been from inexperience of installing one of those, but my installer, who I respected at the time, still respect, wasn't very fond of it, and so we have backed off of working with the Ryobi openers. A brand that's not very popular, but it's growing in popularity here in the U.S., but it's extremely popular overseas, is a company called Sommer. We recently installed our first Sommer. What was cool about that one, and the reason we installed the Sommer to begin with, was that it has a lot of flexibility. I would call this kind of like the Swiss Army knife of openers, even more so than, say, the Ryobi. The reason why I liked it so much was because they've pretty much thought of everything. The way they got their foot in the door with us was because of all the attachments and modifications you can make to it. Where most garage door openers will sit flat, and you have the head unit and the motor rail, and you install it typically in the middle of the door. We had a scenario where one of our customers wanted a full view glass door, and the driveway started down here and came up, and she didn't want to see the opener when she's pulling up. But we had no side room because we basically mounted the track to the side of the walls. It was really tight. So alternatively, the best fit was the Sommer Evo Plus, and we were able to take the motor, instead of mounting it this way, we mounted it sideways along the track. So if you have the garage door track here where the rollers go in, we actually mounted the motor here, and then there's a attachment that comes down, connects to the door, and it goes up and down, raises the door. It's really cool. I might figure out a way to show you some pictures if I can get my editing skills a little bit better. So Sommer's growing in popularity. We started selling them, so we have them here. But it's really cool. They're super quiet, great warranty. So something to take into consideration when you're shopping. So that's the brands that I'm most familiar with. There are some other brands, Marintech. There's commercial brands. Amar's got a rebranded. Oh, Lanier. Lanier is very popular in the area as well. You'll see Lanier a lot. I don't have a whole lot of information on Lanier. I've never installed one personally. I know a lot of my guys have. What's popular with Lanier is some of the bigger garage door dealers actually they have like a white label program where they'll brand the motors for the company, the dealer. So that's popular. And then you got Adams Motors, a lot of motors that I'm not very familiar with. But we like to stick, we're a certified LiftMaster dealer. We like to stick with LiftMaster and recently started installing Somers, and we like both of those. Um, what type of garage door openers are available? And when we're talking about types of garage door openers that are available, I mean like the drive. So you have belt, chain, screw, and now you have the side mount motors that actually use the torsion tube to rotate the tube and open and close the door. Now, those four models are very popular in a lot of different applications. The side mount motor is super cool. I challenge you guys to take a look at it. It's the LiftMaster 8500W. I think Genie just came out with one to compete with it, but it's a residential operator that sits on the side. A lot of people like it that are a little OCD because it's clean and neat and you don't have all of the stuff hanging from the middle of the ceiling. So people are starting to buy that. When we first started, probably sold one every few months. Now we're selling about 4 or 5 every month easily. So we like the 8500W from LiftMaster. It's an excellent motor. It's clean, neat, quiet, and I've never been disappointed. I've got one of those in my house. The other type that I'd like to discuss is belt-driven. Belt-driven is nice and quiet, and I can speak to the LiftMaster belt drive. They have different levels of the belt drive opener. They break it down like Contractor Series, Premium, and Elite. We don't normally sell the Contractor Series. We try to stay away from them just due to some of the callbacks that we had on them. They're a little bit more clunky, and the price difference isn't significant enough, so we start at the Premium and only sell Premium Elite typically. We do make exceptions sometimes, but that's the volume of our openers are Premium Elite just simply due to the callbacks. We try to make it as user-friendly as possible. The belt-driven are typically quieter. I know LiftMaster provides for most of their operators the belt drive. You're going to get a lifetime belt, lifetime motor warranty. Genie also has a belt drive opener. Ryobi, I mean, all of them have pretty much, I think Somers strictly chain, but it's super quiet. It's actually just one chain. It doesn't wrap around. So I think belt driven is probably the most popular right now. That's what most people are going with. You have chain drive, and chain drives, in my opinion, do require a little bit more maintenance than belt drive. You have things that are pretty popular with going wrong with chain drives, like the gear can strip on the inside. I guess it could happen with some of these belt driven too, but it's more popular with the chain drives. The sprocket on top, or the gear strip, sprocket on top tends to break if you have a lot of weight on the door, more weight than you're supposed to. And then I think that's really the two main issues that we see with chain drives. It's a good idea if you have some grease to grease up the gears maybe once a year and check the sprocket. Make sure the chain's not too tight, but it's tight enough. So you want to have that perfect balance. And then the key to a good opener and making it last longer, honestly, is a balanced door. So making sure your door is balanced at all times, I think that's the key to a long-lasting opener, and then also not damaging your top section of your door. So we've hit on all of them except for screw drive. So screw drive isn't nearly as as popular, I guess, as some of the others. Now they go in a lot in new construction, and a lot of guys resort to those if there's like a load-bearing beam in the garage where standard belt or chain drive opener is too long because the beam's in the way. There's other applications, but a popular one is to go with the screw drive. Screw drives over time typically become really loud. Common issues with those that we see is they usually have the Genie screw drive has a manual limit arm, and when it hits that arm, it stops the trolley. And so sometimes those will go bad, not very often. And then you also have the actual trolley itself. It actually has teeth, and they fit inside the screw, and the screw rotates whichever way it needs to open and close the door. If you have a heavy door putting stress on the trolley, it'll slide through and shave down those teeth to the point where it doesn't open or close. So those are some of the great thing about the belt drive and the side mount motor is they're extremely low maintenance. Very little maintenance is required on those, so we normally recommend those two for our customers. So once you figure out kind of the brand and the style or the drive of the opener, I would say next is figuring out who you want to install it. Are you going to do it yourself, or are you going to hire a professional? I know a lot of people hire handymen and things like that. I would just be cautious about hiring a non-professional. If you want to do it yourself, that's great. I definitely encourage people to do that sometimes. I don't think it's overly complicated. I tell people that a lot of times if it was installed properly the first time, it's not hard to go back in and do it again. But the key is, you definitely want to make sure that it was installed properly if you're going to go back and do the same thing that the last guy did. So making sure that that works. And then know where to get them. So you can buy openers at Home Depot, Lowe's. I think the Ace Hardware here, they're selling openers as well. Excuse me. So you can get openers from a lot of different places. Some of the key differences between like a Chamberlain, like a store-bought opener, Chamberlain, Craftsman, Ryobi, is that the rail is broken down into pieces and it fits inside the box. I think that it makes the rail a little bit more flimsy and less durable, where the motor rails for ours are one piece, what we call T-rails, heavy-duty steel rails, and they're really strong. They're hard to bow, so even under a lot of stress, I think they hold up pretty well. Obviously, the longer they get, the less sturdy they are, but the 7 and 8 foot rails are pretty good. I highly recommend the one-piece rail if you have the extra money to buy a professional grade motor like a LiftMaster. Now, some of the advantages of buying from Home Depot and Lowe's is a couple things. Number one, most of the ones, I actually had the Home Depot website up over here. This is one of my biggest frustrations being a LiftMaster dealer. I mean, I'm competing with my own product, and they're listed on Home Depot with more features for about what we pay or less in some cases. But most of these come with 2 remotes and a keypad. And we only get 1 remote, no keypad with ours. So that's very difficult to compete with sometimes because, quite frankly, remotes and keypads are expensive. They're expensive for us, they're expensive for you. And so that's a win for you guys, honestly, when it comes to the operators with the extra remote and keypad. Now, again, you're trading the flimsy, kind of cheaper version of the motor rail, but for some doors, 8x7, 9x7, non-insulated doors, I think that's great. I mean, these are put on all kinds of doors, 16, 18, you can put them on anything, but I just think about the time when the spring breaks and the homeowner's pressing the button 3 or 4 times, and you're starting to get that stress. So I'd rather it be as strong as possible. A lot of these come with backup batteries now. Well, not a lot, but some of them. They just passed a law in California. All openers sold in California or installed in California have to have a backup battery. And the reason for that is one of the recent wildfires that they had, people were dying trying to get out of their garage. I don't think everybody knows that you can pull the red cable and disengage the opener and get out manually. So in the event the power goes out, it's nice to have the backup battery so you can get out and get to your destination. And in a case of emergency, that's pretty good. The backup batteries tend to last about 5 years or so, sometimes longer, sometimes not as long, just depends. But they are nice to have. So the pros, like I said, you get the extra keypad and remote for most of these, and then the cons are the motor rail. The other con I would say is, if you buy that motor and there's something wrong with it, which we've had happen before, where a customer hired us to come out and install the opener. It was a faulty opener, so we took it down for him, but he had to take it back to the store and call us back and schedule. And unfortunately, we had to charge him a second fee to come back and install the motor. Basically, he paid twice. Where if you were to pay a dealer like ourselves or one of the others, if we come out and install the motor, there's no additional charge for coming back to, or so a lot of cases we have 2 of them on the truck, we can knock it out right there. But if we only have one of that model that you purchased and we get it up, and for whatever reason it's got a bad circuit board or there's an issue, we can take care of that at no additional cost to you. So parts and labor. So that's another con to buying at the retail stores. And so I think I pretty much covered. Well, you can also buy them also from dealers like us. And then there's you can even buy garage door openers on Amazon now. I mean, they are cheap. You can even pay. Amazon has a deal. We used to work with them on doing installations. I'm not a huge fan of the way that they do their business, but I think they'll get it figured out eventually. But they're definitely breaking into the home services industry, and when they sell a garage door opener, you have like a little offer there that says you want to hire a professional to install your garage door, and they subcontract out companies like ourselves to come install those. And actually, we had a bad experience with one where the motor was wrong in that scenario too. And so there was some additional compensation in that matter. But for the most part, buying things from Amazon is getting a little bit more and more sketchy, because there's tons of people that are buying stuff that's branded like the name brands that are being bought in China and sold on Amazon. But I'm a huge fan of Amazon. We buy a lot of stuff off of their website. You just have to be careful that you're buying exactly what you think you're getting. And then I think the services side, they haven't quite figured that out yet, but they will. I have full confidence that Amazon will figure out the service side of things and how to get these installed smoothly. So anyway, there's kind of how you go about buying openers. If you want to, you can buy from a box store, you can buy from a garage door dealer, or you can buy online. And then, the 4 things that we discussed that we think is popular that you should know about is understand the brands, know what types of garage door openers are available and what you want, and who's going to install them for you or it, and know where to get them. So I hope that helps you if you're in the market for a garage door opener. And if you have any questions or need anything, feel free to call our offices. You can reach us at 678-960-3360. We just love to be helpful. Even if you aren't going to hire us, we love to talk to people. So don't hesitate to give us a shout, and we hope to talk to you soon. But I hope you enjoyed this and it gave you a lot of information and helped you make a decision. And we'll deep dive into some of the model numbers and stuff at a later date. Thank you.